Hello students, Namaste. How are you all? Hope all of you are well. Today we are going to discuss class 6 science chapter number 5 separation of substances. In the previous video I had described you about the threshing, winnowing, hand picking and sieving. These were the methods by which the grains can be separated, or the small particles which are similar, it can be separated. But if we talk about the same size particle, means just like a chalk powder and sugar powder, means glucose, if you mix the chalk powder and sugar powder, how you will separate? If you will specially mix oil with the water, how you will separate? Means now we are going to talk about the miscible and immiscible substances. Miscible means which can mix with each other, and immiscible means which cannot mix with each other. If we are going to get these substances to separate, then how we will separate these substances? So today's our topic is the separation of substances, sedimentation, decantation, filtration, evaporation, condensation. These are the methods by which any of the miscible or immiscible liquids or solids can be separated. These are the chemical methods, especially when you will go in the higher classes. So these are all the process you are going to study in chemistry. In the chemistry laboratory, if you go in the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, especially when you reach to 11th and 12th standard, that time you will understand what is the value of these separation methods, because that time you have to separate different chemicals which are mixed with each other. Then how will you separate? So these are the few methods, as I have already informed you the names of the method, like sedimentation, decantation, filtration, evaporation, condensation. Before describing these topics, I would like to inform you that in the previous video I had explained you all the methods like hand picking, threshing, winnowing, sieving. If you are having any doubt related to that topic, then please drop your doubt into the comment box section, so I can understand that my students are having doubt, and I will make a good concept in the next video. So today let us discuss about, first of all, sedimentation. Have you heard the word sedimentation? You might have heard. In our NCERT textbook, it is written that sometimes it may not be possible to separate components of a mixture by winnowing. Yes, definitely. Sometimes or many times it would not be possible by the winnowing or a hand picking or any other process, whatever we have studied earlier. For example, there may be a lighter impurities like dust or soil particle in rice or pulses. How are such impurities separated from the rice or pulses before cooking? Rice or pulses are usually washed before the cooking. When you add water, these impurities like dust and soil particles get separated. These impurities go into the water, which becomes a little muddy. Now what will sink to the bottom of the vessel? Rice or dust? Why? Have you seen that the vessel is tilted to pour out the dirty water? When the heavier component in a mixture settle after the water is added to it, this process is called sedimentation. Yes, you might have seen, especially whenever your mama is going to cook rice, that time what you see? That time you observe, before giving the water into the rice, before putting the pressure cooker on the stove, she washed the rice. Why she washed the rice? If already the stones are being separated with the help of hand picking method, then why she needs to wash the water? Then some person think that there is some chemicals mixed, so these chemicals will be removed. Now I am telling you the real thing, why we wash water, why we wash pulse, why we wash vegetables. We only understand, we are having a concept that there are chemicals inside it, so we should remove these chemicals and we should eat pure things, right? But the good concept is what? Some small muddy like particles are stick with each other, which can't be separated by the hand picking method. So what happens when we specially put that raw material into the water? So if that material which is not going to dissolve in water, which are just going to float on the water, it will be separated. But the heavy materials which are going to sink in the water, that also if you wash 4, 5, 6 times, then all the muddy materials or any other materials which are mixed in the rice, it can be separated. And the process by which any sinking material which are not going to separate, it are going to be settled down. So that process is called sedimentation. What is it called? Sedimentation. Here one example they are given. When the heavier component in a mixture settles after the water is added, this process is called sedimentation. Very nice defined. Write this defined in your notebook, that when the heavy particles of a mixture get settled down after adding the water, that process is called sediment. As for example, just suppose in your water some of the sand particles are there, right? So these sand particles are mixed with each other, mixed with water. So what happens when you add a water, you will see as you leave without stirring for half an hour, you will see all the sand particles are being settled down. And as the sand particles are being settled down, now you can remove the upper part and the below part and the bottom part, which all the dust has been settled. This process is called sedimentation. Why sedimentation? Because they are settled down, and by this settling down, you can separate the two miscible substances. Got it? What I want to say in the sedimentation? Sedimentation is a process in which two mixture in which one can either float or sink into the water, that can be separated by adding the water or washing that substance with water into many times. So after then you can separate that substance. This process is called sedimentation. What is it called? Sedimentation. You might have seen that whenever your mama is washing the rice, she removes all the dust particles, means she removes the water, and whatever water she puts inside, after then she removes the water. Means after washing she just squeeze the rice. After squeezing the rice, whatever the materials which are already sticked with the rice, that all the materials get washed away by washing with water or by adding with water and separating this impurities material from the raw rice. Similarly, it happens to the rice. Similarly, it happens to the vegetable. Means all the impurities are being removed either by washing away or by the sedimentation process. I hope all of you have understand. If you have not understand about the sedimentation, then please write a define in your notebook. When the heavier component in a mixture, settles down after adding water in it, this process is called sedimentation. Got it? If you are not having the idea about the sedimentation, if you want to write, then you can just write when the heavier component in a mixture, settles after water is added into it, the process is called sedimentation. Now, when the water is removed, as after the water is being removed along with the dust particle, this process is called decantation. Decantation. What is the meaning of this decantation? Decantation means filtered part. Residue part has been removed. As for example, just suppose your mama is preparing tea for your dad. So after preparing the tea, what does she do? She do filtration process. In the filtration process, the upper part is residue and the liquid part is called filtered, because now all over the impurities has been filtered. So upper part is residue and down part is filtered. Similarly, when your mama washed the rice, so what happened? All the dust particles are being removed. So the removing of the dust particle by adding the water into a substance is called decantation. Means they can't be stable in that rice. They can't be mixed anymore in that substance. So this process is called decantation. If anybody will ask you what is decantation, so you can just directly write when the heavier component in a mixture settles after adding the water into it and water removes the impurity from that mixture, this process is called decantation. And the impurities settle down in the bottom, that process is called sedimentation. So you have heard about the sedimentation, you have heard about the decantation, right? Now let us find two other mixture that can be separated through the sedimentation and decantation. Here there is one activity done that in which method it can be separated. Here they have taken one example. Oil and water from the mixture can be separated by this process. Yes, definitely. When you specially mix oil with water, what happens? The oil layer remains floating on the water and the water is below it. After preparing tea, what do you remove? Definitely we remove the tea leaves, right? So the same principle which is used for separating a mixture of two liquids that do not mix with each other. For example, oil and water from the mixture can be separated by this process. If a mixture of such liquid is allowed to stand for some time, they form two separate layers. The component that forms the top layer that can be separated by decantation. See what happens, as for example, I am talking about in the olden days when there was no light, the students were studying with the help of lamp. You might have seen, or I don't think so, you may have seen or not. But actually sometimes what happens, when in the lamp, if the kerosene oil is going to finish and there is no little bit kerosene oil is left and that is not reaching till that wick. So what do the students do? The students add water inside it. So after adding water inside it, what happens? The oil layer comes up and the lamp burns till the oil reaches to the wick. What I want to say, by this process there are many other miscible liquids or immiscible liquids can be separated. Now here there was one example about the immiscible liquids, means the two liquids which can't mix in each other, as for example oil and water. Oil and water can't mix in each other, so by the process of decantation you can remove either oil or water. Let us again consider a mixture of solid and liquid. Now solid and liquid, tea leaf and tea. After preparing tea, what do you remove? Tea leaves? Try decantation. It helps a little bit, but do you still get a few leaves in your tea? Now pour the tea through a strainer. Yeah, see, as I have informed you about the sedimentation and decantation, we can use these two processes also. See, just suppose after preparing a tea, no need to filter it. Now leave that tea as it is, and after some time, you will see all the tea leaves are settled down, sedimentation, and now you are removing this tea liquid part, so that is called decantation. Now sedimentation and decantation, with the help of these two processes also you can remove the tea from the tea leaf, but you will see some of the tea leaves have gone inside. So now 100%, if you want to remove the tea leaf, then you have to use a strainer. Now pour the tea through a strainer. Did all the tea leaves remain in the strainer? This process is called filtration. Yes, if you don't want a single tea leaf in your tea, then you have to use that strainer. With the help of the strainer, all the tea leaves are being removed, and this process is called filtration. Filtration is a process in which the solid parts are removed from the liquid parts from a mixture of solution. Now, which method of separating tea leaves from the prepared tea is better, decantation or filtration? If anybody will ask you, which method is better for preparing a tea and means taking a tea, pure tea, either the question is decantation or filtration. Decantation means, solid down, solid particle settle down, liquid particle filtered. And filtration means we have to take a mixture of two liquids in which solid and liquid are dissolved. Now we have to separate with a strainer. So a strainer take all the solid part, and on the bottom you get a liquid part. Now question is, which method is perfect for separating this tea leaf and tea? I hope all of your answer will be filtration. Let us now consider the example of water that we use. Do all of us at all times get safe water to drink? Sometimes water supplied through taps may be muddy. The water collected from the ponds or rivers may also be muddy, especially after the rains. Let us see if you can use some method of separation to remove insoluble impurities like soil from the water. My question is very much a great question. You might have seen the municipal corporation which is sending water at your home. So especially that water, sometimes you see that it is muddy water is coming. Sometimes blackish water is coming, different color water. So that time what happens when they especially collect pond water, or in that treatment plant also it is not being separated. So that time, what do we do? Do we remove these insoluble impurities like soil from the water? Now which method we should use? Can you tell me any method out of this sedimentation, decantation, filtration? You might have seen also this method at your home, that in the tap your mama may be just binding a handkerchief, and after then all the impurities are filtered and the purities are settled down. Now question is what? After getting the knowledge of these three, sedimentation, decantation, filtration, if you are still having any doubt related to this topic, then please drop your doubt below the video or in the comment box section so I can understand. That's all for today. I hope all of you have understand about the sedimentation, decantation, filtration. In the next video, I'll discuss about the next two topics, That's all for today. Thank you very much. If you have enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe. That's all for today. Thank you very much.